Yeah, go for it.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you. Just a quick thing. First, wanted to start off with and just thank you so much, guys, for doing this like every week. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone in this group really appreciates this. I've gained so much value from this. So yeah, I have a couple questions. First question is, I am struggling to find a good way to prospect with like leads in advance during my day job. It's not like I can just make phone calls as much as I want to. Like I cannot do that. So what I've been doing has just been like texting, and I haven't really found a good way when it comes to just like text messaging, especially like in the construction industry, of how I can like go ahead.
You on Facebook when you're at work? Can you get on Facebook?
I can get on Facebook too. So I just been like texting on my phone, like I do like a lot of my prospecting, like I'll pull like, people off of like Google ads, for example, or off of like Facebook groups. And then I just like text them.
Yeah, I do quite a bit of Facebook prospecting actually, and it works really easy because I have a lot of stuff to sell. So I and I like change, so I don't get stuck on one site. Like I want to cycle through and like offer it to different people and then go to the next one and then circle back the next day and whatever. So I would go into Facebook groups and I would just say, hey, or even if I find somebody on Craigslist, if I'm going to text them or some other number that I want to text, I'm just like, hey, are you guys open to some referral work in XYZ location? And usually most of the time they're like, yeah. So I just keep it super simple, super short. I'm like, yeah, I get some stuff once in a while. I could send you a couple and see if it's a good fit. What do you think? And I've already checked them out, obviously, online. Like I know who they are. So it's not, Jimmy in a pickup usually, depending on the niche. But, I try to do it that way. And, if I do that in a higher level niche, a lot of times they won't respond. So because they don't have time, they're on the run, right? So I'll do that to 3 to 5 of them, in one, at one time. And then I'll just throw it out there. I'm throwing lines in the water, right? So then I go to the next one, and then it's kind of eventually somebody starts to respond. They're like, yeah, I could take on some more work. Like, what do you got? And I'm like, well, I just have this little, marketing thing set up, and I get some leads once in a while. I can't make any promises, but, I don't know if it's the type of work you do. If I can get them into a bigger conversation, it kind of depends on how desperate I am to sell it, meaning how many leads are coming in. If I have 3 leads a week, then I'm not as desperate to sell it. I'm trying to just kind of, get somebody to trust me enough to work with me, because I'm probably going to need to ask them for money, because it's kind of hard to monetize something with that low number of leads. If it's getting 30 leads a week, well, that's different, right? So I want to try to get those people on the phone. So I would be like, well, hey, I'm getting a bunch of work here. Like this could blow up your business. Like, let's get on a phone call. So that's kind of the way I do it.
Hey, Lisa, first, thank you for the appreciation. I'm glad that it's been useful for you. Second, and don't feel any pressure at all to answer this, but do you want to share the niche that you're talking about? Is this something that's like obscure, or is it something that's kind of mainstream?
It's more mainstream, but honestly, it's like several niches that have like leads coming in. The problem is with these different niches is, one is like event planning, right? I've had this up for like a year now, and finally with COVID starting to like end, I'm starting to get like more leads coming in for event planning. Well, with event planning, that seems a little bit different when it comes to texting versus like the construction. Because what I noticed with the construction industry is that they don't really ask you for many details. It would just be like, okay, I'll give that person a call. With like anything outside the construction industry, like event planning, it seems like they keep harassing me for more details, because it's like I want to keep it simple, but then they're like asking me for, okay, like who are you? Like what do you do? And like all these things. And it's just like, call this referral. That's all you need to do. And then I get asked like 18 questions, and then it's like I feel like I'm scaring them off when I have to answer the truth.
Right. So here's the strategies that I would take for these different ones. For event planning and for the construction, I would be joining some big Facebook groups, and I would be posting in there like, can anyone can anyone recommend somebody like that can handle this type of event in Austin, Texas, or wherever the city is, right? I would post that in there, and you're going to get a lot of different responses. Okay. And then send them the lead when they respond, like, hey, I could be interested. Like, yeah, here's, you may want to have a conversation, or you might just like throw it in there. Like, I've got a lot of these coming in. Just like, you just pretend like the conversation has already happened where they've agreed. Like, hey, would you be interested in a wedding that is that the type of events that it would be, like a wedding or like bar mitzvah or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, would you be interested in that? When they say yes, just be like, throw the information in there. That's one way to do it. You're not really vetting them out very much, which, like, you know, you may want to look at them a little bit and make sure they're not like an axe murderer or something. But like, you could just like throw it in there, and, you know, if they close it or they get a good conversation, and then you give them another one, like, it's not going to take them long before they're like, they're going to be wanting more of these, right? If they're getting value from them. You're in a niche that, like, I like to call is a waterfall niche, and I love those. So the leads that come in for this can be so much more than the initial lead if you structure this correctly. Okay.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you could be lining up like table and chair rental. You could be lining up DJs and cakes and caterers and, like, I don't know, clowns, like all kinds of different things that are associated with these events. You need to be turning this niche into like 5 or 7 leads for each lead that comes in. Okay. So I understand step one is like getting the event planner person, because that's what the actual lead is for. But, and that may be something you need to like step around a little bit, where maybe the event planner has already gone and like, they have their own lead gens and now they're like getting like money back for each time somebody rents chairs from this place or something.
I was going to say that they probably are a lead gen effectively, you know, because I'm sure they have a Rolodex of people that they use, and maybe they get kicked back something or whatever.
Yeah. So the construction one, I would also be like, I had tremendous success by just like doing a simple post like, hey, can anybody recommend a wedding planner in like Philadelphia? And like, if the group is big enough, and especially if it's like a tight knit, like if it's an industry where people are going to like trade shows and that type of thing, and they know people in these different areas, then a lot of times you'll get people making recommendations about these people. And
I find a lot of times you don't even have to make the post. Like, you just go in and search the niche keyword, and somebody's already made a post like that sometime in the past, and they're just lined up right there for you.
Right. Are your lead gens in the time zone that you are in?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So most of the time, business owners are going to be pretty busy between 9 and 5, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of my conversations with clients happen after their business hours. So like, most of these people, it's not the worst thing to message them when you get off work, or even on the weekend, right? If they don't answer, then as long as you're not calling them at like 3 a.m, like you call them at like noon on a Saturday, it's not, I don't think that's like too intrusive personally. So, you know, I would be using those. I'd be using like probably until like 7 o'clock, 7:30, being able to reach out to them. I'd be combining it with like Facebook posts. And then, you know, you could make the post in the morning, and then maybe on your lunch break, you could go and see what it's got. Or like Jeff said, just like message these people within Facebook chat. And I think that it has a really high open rate when you message someone on Facebook versus like sending out a bulk email or something like that. I know that Mike has some like crazy ninja email stuff, but I've had tremendous success just like using Facebook, and Jeff has as well. And I know a number of other people have too. Is there anybody else that has stuff to add to that for Lisa to help?
Adam's asking about waterfall leads. Is passing the leads on to multiple industries okay if the lead is only given their details for the initial niche?
Yeah. So what you can do, first of all, I don't think it's, you know, that's maybe a gray area, right? I don't think it's like a terrible thing to do, but what you can also do is you could just have checkbox on your form, or if you're handling the calls for them, be like, hey, we work with a lot of, you seem like a nice person. We work with a lot of people that we would recommend. Would you be interested in hearing from these people if it's on a phone call? Or you could just have them like check a checkbox on a form. And, you'll know, like when you're in this, like, for instance, Lisa here, maybe if they choose wedding, then you could have like the checkbox, or like they check a checkbox, you could have something else pop up that says like, okay, are you interested in any of this other stuff? You could potentially get a discount if you, if you like use a few of our different vendors or something. Like there's ways to do it, right? And the lead value is probably not going to be like if you were to get like a DJ lead and it was worth $20, and you do it this way where they came in for a wedding, maybe that DJ lead's only worth $17 or $15 because it's like, I don't know, they weren't asking for it. So, but that is absolutely multiply that times 5. I mean, that like, I think it's, I had this idea a while ago to just like focus on these like waterfall or industries, because I'm just like, I'll 5X every lead that comes in if I choose the right industries. Like you can't do that for some, like roofing, for instance. Because when a roofing lead comes in, like, I don't know what else you can sell them. Maybe there's like water damage or something like this, but like for this one, it's just like, we know by the type of lead that they need all this other stuff, right? So I really like that idea. At least I don't think, like, I wouldn't personally go into the event management space unless I was doing that, because I think that the price per lead is just not worth as much as some of these other ones. And I think it's going to be more competitive than other ones. But if you're going to be able to waterfall it, then that compensates for those other deficiencies in my mind. Was this helpful, Lisa?
Yeah, no, this was definitely helpful. I guess my other thing, is it seems like that Facebook prospecting and just messaging them on Facebook is more personal maybe than just like texting these different phone numbers, and they just don't have like a face to a name.
It's a pattern interrupt. It's not where they're used to getting hit up by marketers, right? Okay. Like they're used to like people calling them and they hang up on them, or getting junk mail. But when you get like a Facebook message, especially if you keep it casual, then it doesn't seem spammy, right? So
yeah, I keep it real casual and short. It's like I'm busy. I have something of value here. If you're interested, let me know.
I use it a lot, and it works really, really well.
Awesome.
I've never had any objections or complaints.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Jeff, are we?